Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Serial Gaming here, and we're gonna rank all freaking 11 units that is featuring up in the upcoming month. So I'm gonna speed run through all of this because 11 units, honestly, is a lot. So let's go, guys. Alright, there's really not much surprise here, Realm being the last. So her main FR is not really that desirable because she has 40% ties to using magic damage only. As for Ram herself, honestly there's not much to justify using her as a character unless she's your favorite, because she brings in unique gameplay where she pulls the right unit every time the enemy takes a turn together with her, and then the left unit gain an extra HP damage cap up. But I think she's rather awkward in the sense where she doesn't have a role. She doesn't really perform really well with a specific team composition. She's just having there to let you have fun with certain mechanics, but she doesn't really work well with either on turn or off turn or justify bringing her into any team composition. So in that sense, she's just there just because you want to bring her, and then you just want to have fun with the warping mechanism, but it doesn't really bring any benefits to it. So yeah, with that being in mind, I've just put Realm the last year. Moving out, we have Snow. Snow doesn't get any upgrade on his BT. He does gain a new FR which grants 60% on turn and 20% off turn. Kind of sucks, to be honest. I don't like this kind of FR where it's a bit too hybrid. So yeah, I don't recommend using it as a main. So Snow's role remains the same. His damage or his stacks relies on him being tackled by the enemy, where he'll gain the second stack which deals 9 full HP attack on his next turn. However, unlike Rex, his stack does go down even with his BT effect. It doesn't retain the stack, so he needs to be targeted or attacked again for his stacks to be gained. And he doesn't have really a good, reliable party-wide healing. He does protect the entire party while his FR is active. Not that it's a huge issue because Snow himself already protects the party in his HP damage resist. But other than that, I just don't feel like Snow has a very strong in what he does here as compared to the other tanks that we have or the other DPS that we have. Jumping on to the third character, I know many people like her, but I'm going to put Yuna right here. Yuna actually get a very decent upgrade on her FR. She now has a 110% on turn if you use HP attack, and she does have 50% HP damage and HP damage cap out to the entire party while her FR is active. So using her FR as a main is actually pretty decent. She does have certain amount of roles like FR battery, supercharging, reliable healer, cleanser battery, blah blah blah. But the problem is, all this doesn't really brings into a very significant effect of bringing her into the team because she has really bad damage. I think the overall of her damage is 6 AoE HP attack. For supportive units, to be honest, it's not that bad if we didn't get units upcoming like Ignis, for example, or even the older units, I mean the units that we already have like Celtius. All these units kind of broke the scale of supportive unit having to have decent damage too. So in Yuna case, she kind of suffer from that being like 6 AoE HP attack, and just in general just kind of puts her a little bit lower in the list. Coming up next is Lunafreya. Lunafreya is actually getting a decent rework on her FR. She gains a 100% on turn right now, but the 20% has to be done by granting an ally a buff. So unless you're using a frequent buff giver, it's not really that easy to fulfill. So you're looking at 80% constant on turn with 20% as a bonus from time to time. But yeah, her pros, as usual, she's the queen of setup. She does have FR battery, supercharging, reliable healer, and battery of course, and she does provide multiple turns to the selective ally, and of course true damage to another selective ally. So with that in mind, Lunafreya is still really good in setup. The only issue is you don't really need to set up as much as what we have right now as compared to before because of FR retain and FR echo. So I guess setup is just not that strong or OP like she was before when she was being released, and coupled along with her damage, which is on par with Yuna, she just kind of falls behind right now with the new rework and release. But yeah. Next up is Jessie. So Jessie doesn't really gain a rework on her FR. She does have 80% on turn, but you need to delay and use range attack to actually gain the full access of the 80%. So it's not really that desirable as a main. That's why I put it as an Eiko. It's not the strongest hitting Eiko too, so her FR is just there, to be honest. What is mainly unique about her is her new overhead with her BT. So what it does is that every bravery attack, it gains a stack, and it can go up to 999,000. So yeah, it breaks the HP damage cap. While if you use her HP attack, it will do 3 times of the HP damage cap that you gain from the overhead. But it's not really that easy to come access to this particular stacks, because you need to do bravery attack to the entire enemy to actually gain the stacks. And if you want to use it constantly, because it actually reduces the overhead to 0 once you use her HP attack, so if you want to use it constantly during her BT phase, for example, you want units that follow up attack to actually help Jessie gain that overhead again after she uses her skill. So units like Cisne, for example, need to do 28,000 per unit on 3 enemies to actually cap Jessie's overhead if you're relying on Cisne alone. It's not exactly the hardest to gain access to, but it's actually rather tricky if you want to be constantly active. But yeah. Next up, we have the new girl Lenora. Alright, Lenora as a FR as a main, it's not that bad. It's 80% on turn with supercharging capability, and she does have FR battery supercharger, she heals, she batteries, blah blah blah. But she does have a unique follow-up attack, which kind of like Jessie, which breaks the HP damage cap ceiling, but it only have 1 follow-up attack, 1 HP down. So kinda, it's not that strong or OP like what most would think. She does, like I said, heals a lot to the entire party and overheals, so she guarantees the safety of them. Kind of like a supportive tank with a decent amount of damage. But also take note that she has very slow ass animation, so if you're running her as a supercharger or FR battery, you're looking at least 15 minutes of your total run. Next up, we finally get the rework of our first FRBT, which is Kane. So his FR essentially get a good upgrade. It does 6% party on turn, 70% self on turn, 5% party off turn, and 20% self off turn. But it also have a 50% HP damage and HP damage cap out to the entire party. His FR is instant turn FR, which is really nice. But the only awkward part about Kane is that she has this jump where, because right now in Eiko, you can't exactly, if you want to use his skill as an Eiko, for example, you can't exactly save on having him jump first and then just spam your skill and then just have 1 unit enter into BT. Right now, you really have to waste 1 FR turn, F-force time to actually use that jump, which in most cases where the FR is not superchargeable, is going to be really awkward, because Kane FR jump doesn't work like a FR battery or supercharging skill, so it doesn't gain extra 50%, it just wastes a force time with just 3 or 5%. But aside from those, Kane is still a very decent follow-up attack. He doesn't get much upgrade on his follow-up, but still it's pretty decent because it does follow up on every field turn and it does follow up on enemy's turn as well. But next up is Ignis, which gain a very nice FR with 80% on turn, which is also superchargeable, and he does have a follow-up attack from his BT effect with a huge amount of 6 AoE HP attack, and Ignis actually grant really good damage also in his HP attack with 8 to 9 single target HP attack with a little bit split in the end. But yeah, he actually does really decent HP attack right now, all things considered. You're looking around at 15 single target HP attack on the target itself. So that is insane. So for a supportive unit, I think Ignis just deals so much damage. Not to mention he has FR battery, he's a supercharger, he's a reliable healer, and he does have debuff evasion as well. I really think the only con about Ignis is having a dagger unit, ultimate weapon. I think in most cases, ultimate weapon is getting more and more common nowadays as compared to what we have before, but I still think dagger is just one of those units that those ultimate weapon that is really rare as compared to the other ultimate weapon that is out there. So yeah, I think Ignis just kind of falls short in that. But next up we have Arciela. I think I'm kinda in the dilemma of whether or not to put Ignis on the third part of this entire list or Arciela. So Arciela actually does a lot to the entire party, but let's look at her FR first. As a main, she's like Ignis, 80% on turn, which is also superchargeable. She also comes with a lot of utility. Let's take at her BT effect first. She produced true damage to the entire party, which is scalable with her force time, which is also quite similar to Weiss. She does have instant turn FR and supercharger FR, which is similar to Arif FR for example, so you gain a huge ass 85% every time you use her FR without fulfilling any condition itself. And she's a reliable healer, she does have HP silence, she dispels, she brave give nullify, she basically does a lot of things which also protects your entire party. And she's a unique ultimate weapon not to mention, so good that, but not that it matters much because her damage is quite on the low side. Surprisingly, she actually has more damage than Yuna and Lunafreya, so all things considered, I was quite surprised enough. Even with her weaker damage, I still think that she deserves one of the strongest spot in this list. But coming in with our top two is rather obvious. I think I put Ida right here because Ida actually... Okay, let's take a look at her kit first. Her FR as a main, she does 80% on turn, but she does tie 40% to using melee weapon. But she does produce 50% HP damage and HP damage cap up, which is really decent. The only good thing I can think about Ida is that she's a damage dealer, so she's relying a lot on the damage she can produce, but she has a very stupid high self HP damage cap out just from her BT effect alone. 120%, she's the only one that breaks over 100% just from her BT effect. If you add up all things together with her high armor, with her ultimate weapon, with her BT effect from other characters, you're looking at easily 300%. Coupled along with Anacro, you can even tie up to 400% rather easily as compared to the other units, so I think you can easily push up to 500% as well if you just pump enough HP damage cap up to the entire party with her as the main selfish damage dealer and with Anacro BT effect. But yeah, Ida's strongest attack comes in the form of her LD and her EX, which is non-spammable during her BT phase. So you want to use it, you want to use her in a situation where you don't go into her own BT phase. But the problem is, her LD is a slow or low turn rate, which push Ida's turn back, which is not really desirable because she's a damage dealer. And if you want her to gain multiple turns, you need to use her HP attack, which is not really that strong as compared to the other skill. So with that in mind, Ida may have very high HP damage cap up, but she doesn't produce the largest damage as consistent as other damage dealer. But coming up first is rather obvious too, which is Cisne. Cisne is just absolutely insane. I don't know what they were thinking when they push up her follow-up into a double follow-up. She basically gains 6 AoE HP attack on every follow-up attack. So in the normal cases where you have 2 enemies, you're basically dealing 12 extra HP attack on every single turn. So that itself makes Cisne absolutely insane, absolutely crazy to run with, especially if you're running her with another AoE HP attack dealer like Celtius, Renoir for example. It's gonna be really fun to see them just pushing all those damage in. Not to mention the best part about Cissnei and Yida of course is that they are green crystal, so for me who really max out my green crystals, they're going to be a really good addition to my team. And of course, I think the only worst part about Cissnei is she's using a troll unique weapon. For most players, that doesn't really rely a lot on this ultimate weapon. For me itself though, I actually really max out this one because of Fujin, Yuffie, so I'm kind of in the safe part for this. But yeah. Anyway, that's about it. I think I speed these up rather quickly. But yeah, I personally just gonna say it's really easy to rank them this time as compared to before. Only a little bit hesitant on between Arciela and Ignis, but other than that, it's just pretty obvious in most cases. I personally though, my pool plan is just gonna be pulling Cissnei, Yida probably, Arciela and Snow probably, and then Realm and Jessie is on the maybe part because there's so many units right here and I'm not too sure about the resources they're gonna give us out. If I do pull Realm though, it's just purely gonna be favorite. She's absolutely not justifiable to pull. Snow because I already maxed him out, so just why not, right? Jessie is because she might be fun and I already have her FR maxed out, but she doesn't really do much to be honest aside from just fun damage dealing. But yeah, regardless, that is my ranking. How about you guys? I still think Ignis can be a little bit higher. I might put him a little bit too low considering the fact I skipped him. Maybe I skipped through some of this detailed analysis as well. But yeah, what about you guys? Do you guys agree or not agree with the list? And what about your pool plans here? Do let me know down in the comments below and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.